much for being here tonight on this dreary day, and the fact that it gets dark so much earlier now. Did you see my video? I was just like, oh, I forgot it was going to be dark. How many of you are from Indiana, born and raised in Indiana? So we haven't been changing times all that long. How long have we been changing times?
It's been several decades. It's been several decades. When we were doing Girl Scouts, we were changing time.
Yes,
I think it depends on where you are in the state, because it was just a few years ago for me that we were changing.
Well, I have no excuse. She's known me for, since I was having a baby, so at least 30 years ago. So yeah, I have no excuse. Well, I'm still not used to it.
No,
I don't
none
like
of
it.
us are.
I don't like it.
I don't
Yeah,
like
I think I was in bed last night at 7:30. Just because it's been dark for a while. Well, my name is Lee Ann Balta, and I am a senior housing professional and a senior real estate professional, 2 certifications. And I got here because I'm getting older, my friends are getting older, and the last few years, my clients have gotten older and have lots of questions, and it just sort of drew me back into being more trained in that area. So that's what you are going to see tonight, a product of that training. I don't know where to point it. There we go. This isn't the one. I'm sorry. This isn't the one. All right, friends. Let me pull this up. Oh, technology is great. That's okay. I've only got it saved 1,000,000 times in here. Yes. There we go. There's a picture of Betsy and myself. Betsy Batista is my partner in crime. She has been with me since 2017, and life has just kind of thrown us both curves. Both of our clients she's got a lot of friends from church that are in the downsizing process, so it's just kind of come along naturally for us. So as I mentioned, we have had some additional training in that, and what you're going to see tonight is a program called Downsizing Made Easy. It's 5 easy steps. I don't know if I quantify it as easy, but it can be easy if you let us. This program was developed by Nikki Buckaloo out of Oklahoma, and she has been a real estate expert with Keller Williams for over 20 years. And the last 10 years, she has started Senior Real Estate Institute out of Oklahoma. And she started training other real estate agents that are niching and becoming experts in this area. And so I'm proud to say that Betsy and I have been training with her for over 1.5 years, and I've also developed our systems to be in line with Nikki. So you have the first step, creating the plan. And, pardon me? Oh, I should have mentioned to you that the flyers that you see in front of you, I do apologize. One is just taking notes, and then the other is the slide presentation. So you can take notes on either one, but what I really liked about this document right here was that it included not only places to take notes, but it also included communities that you visit and then the different experts that you partner with through the journey. So I really like that. Ann and I have talked about, we're always talking about getting ready, and she's like, where's the list of all the things we need to get ready for? And so this was a starting point. The starting point was start sort of interviewing and examining and just learning about what the different partners can do, how they charge, what they cost, budgeting for those types of things. So I really like that piece. And then of course you have a survey. A survey is really going to help Betsy and I and our partners to know what you thought of this information. So please, before you leave, if you would please leave us a note. We will take those to heart. And then I do want to point out that on Monday, we are having a seminar. Our panelists are experts in hospice and palliative care. And again, it's just for information. We wanted you to be able to learn about this and then also be able to ask questions. And I have three partners that, or three panelists that are coming that I think you'll enjoy. All right. Back to our systems. The first step is planning. We will naturally do better if we have if you have a plan in place. You might not need the plan, so that's kind of what we're aiming for. 70% of us will decide to age in place, and so with that, since April, we've been bringing in resources that will help us to age in place as long as possible. And I really love that we learned how to modify our homes for that, how to organize our homes for that, how to bring in some alternate care to help us get some things done around the house that maybe we no longer have the energy for. So that's been a good process of planning and learning. Tonight we're going to talk about that first step of planning is going to be to move. Tell me what y'all think about that. That first step, where are you going to go? When I used to think about downsizing, I would think about what am I going to do with all my stuff? How many of you think about that? Mm-hmm. Okay. So what we really want to think about at first is, where are we going to go? Are we going to go into a smaller ranch home? Are we going to go to independent living? Name some communities around here that offer independent living.
Hoosier Village.
Hoosier Village.
Stratford.
Stratford.
Marquette.
Marquette.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think Marquette's been around a long time.
Mm-hmm.
There's the villages up by the Whitestown. So independent living. Has anybody visited?
Does Zionsville Meadows have? I mean,
They do
the
have.
garden
They do.
house is
Absolutely.
independent.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Absolutely. Zionsville and Lafayette Road.
That whole it's an older place, it's been around for a long time.
Robin?
Yeah,
Oh
yeah.
yeah, Robin's Run. 62nd in that.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
62nd and,
So that independent living, you're still independent, you're still driving, you're still doing all the things that you want to do. It can also be those townhomes, it could be the garden homes. You see a lot of paired homes. They're paired patios or villas. They're so those are like independent, you still have some of your yards there. And then you start to get into more of an apartment-like independent setting, which would be like the villages, or there are apartments at Hoosier Village. So it just, what do you see yourself? What kind of lifestyle do you see? We understand that changing from an environment where we're driving into our garage and the garage door goes down behind us, and then we go on about our business, and we're not necessarily socializing as much with our neighbors, or there may come a time we're not socializing as much with our neighbors. We understand that social engagement is the #1 way of staying healthy for a longer period of time, is that cognitive socializing. Now, I don't know about you, but that garage coming down behind me and going into the house and doing my business the rest of the evening is pretty much my evening. So I'm not even socializing as much as I probably need to. Another reason is that health and wellness. This also really convicted me because we talk about, I go home and I fix something to eat that's rather simple, rather easy, and I may not be getting as much nutrients as I should be getting anymore. So that's another thing to think about. Are you eating healthy? Are you getting all the food groups? And I don't, again, cooking for one isn't always the most fun. So, and then the house. How's the house treating you? Is it something that still encourages you? You still love doing the garden work? Or is it starting to be a little bit of a burden? Does it keep you from socializing? There's a lot of leaves out there right now, so I think there's a lot of work to be done around my house. So some of that keeps me from engaging in activities that I need to be doing. So those are some of the reasons why we might be thinking about downsizing. I'd like to hear some of your reasons for even just downsizing takes years, so you may just be thinking about it, but I'd like to know some of the reasons you're thinking about it.
We have a pool. And that's a big thing. It's too big of a house for two people. I mean, it's too much. It's like, why clean all this? And there's two people in here.
Yeah.
And my kids, I have two boys, and they've moved. One's in Ohio, but one's in Boston. So it's just, so I would just like smaller, more, just easier, so I don't have, like you said, I can't even socialize. I can go to Bible study because I've got to do this and I got to do this. Well, the pool needs this, and and you just constantly. I love gardening and being outside, so I would like to have a house.
It's a little easier to
something where I could,
maintain.
still
Yeah.
work outside.
Well, Leanne knows me. My husband passed away suddenly 3 years ago. We lived in the house 23 years, so I'm now into my 26th year, and my kids are all grown. They're all married or engaged. The youngest is engaged. Just time to get rid of the quote family home. A little bit too much yard and stuff. And don't look at me, Leanne.
She has an acre.
Just a little.
And how many sheds, Kim, does she have?
Outbuildings? Yes. I have a 100-year-old home, so, yeah. Chicken coops and smokehouses and greenhouses, and we're getting there.
Yeah. Any other thoughts?
Well, I have I'm sorry.
Yeah, go ahead, Sophie.
I have a 4-bedroom home. I can only even live in 1 bedroom at a time.
You don't spend the night at other
Yeah.
bedrooms. Kim?
Now, I do have a big family, lots of kids and grandkids, so that's the hard part. But I don't wanna be a burden on my kids when my parents, they lived with a big house and lot. It ended up being a burden for everybody to have to go help them every weekend when they should be really being with their family and children.
Yeah. I like when I was reading through the materials for the first time, just having time cognitively to learn like a new hobby, to volunteer somewhere that maybe I hadn't been able to volunteer before. So those are some other thoughts. So that first step is creating a plan. I guess I wanted to ask, what are some fun things you've thought about that next journey looking like? Like I look forward to having people to play cards with, playing games or crafts, or what are some of the things you guys think about?
Travel.
Being able to travel?
I have a book that's half written.
Betsy has
Where's that with that at?
Who knows?
Betsy's working on one as well.
I have already published one, so I know I can do it, but the first one I did quite some time ago, and I try really hard, but I just can't find the time. I can't make the time. By the time I get to, I might have 20 minutes here, 20 minutes there, but I need a nap.
Peggy Rowe has written 4 books, since just in her late 70s, early 80s, and she didn't have time until now to do it. And she's Micro's mother who does dirty jobs and all that. But her and her husband live in independent living somewhere in Baltimore, similar to Hoosier Village or something like that. But now she's got
Now she's got the time.
and she's got
I
4
can
best-selling
imagine
books.
being in an apartment, say, where I wouldn't have to take care of the yard, take the trash out, get the water softener fixed, et cetera, I can imagine that.
Yeah, it's good. Good. All right, so some of the questions, I did mention the different types of 55 and older, where it may be an individual home still, but smaller and more manageable, but you're still very independent. Then in a 55 and older community, not necessarily an activities director in those communities. And then there's, so you want to think about what kind of lifestyle that you want that next phase to be. And then you want to think about the finances of it, because that first step is to identify where you want to be next. Jack, you want to share what you've been working on? Do you mind if, I should have asked first, I'm sorry.
That's all right.
I was just impressed that you had been looking around already.
Well, my wife passed away 7 years ago, and it's just me in a pretty large house. And I'm kind of tired of that. I don't enjoy every time facing the kitchen when I want to have something to eat, and sometimes it's a couple of days I don't even talk to anybody outside other than on the phone. And just getting kind of bored with the lifestyle that I have. I've lived in the same house for 47 years. And so moving out of it also concerned me about leaving that for him to face by himself. If I were to pass away, still living in that house, it would be twice as hard for my children to take care of that as it will be with me being here. So I did start taking inventory of what was out there, and found at the Stratford, which is where I'm going. I've committed to going there actually December 1st. I like all of the activities they have. They publish a schedule of social activities, and there's a lot of things that you can obviously pick and choose. You don't have to do anything. And they also have a wellness schedule for the month, things that incorporate their exercise area and their swimming pool and their hot tub and so forth and so forth. As I say, I'm just kind of bored a lot of the time. So I am interested in a they call them villas there, so an apartment. And I was pleased with what they were able to offer me, and so I've made the commitment to go there. I'm going to take some time to sell my house. I am going to sell it, but certainly not before December 1st. We're kind of thinking like maybe April or May that we'll be selling the house, but I'm just looking for a new lifestyle, a little more active. I'm getting older, obviously, but I'm still able to do a lot of things, and so I want to do a lot of things.
Yeah, it's amazing.
I did look at several places, and I really thought I was just gathering information for the future, and quite frankly, I came across the Stratford, and I liked everything I started finding out, and more things they showed me, I liked it, and they happened to have an apartment that was, that I had evolved in what I wanted in an apartment, and they had one that incorporated all of that. And so it just seemed like that was where I was supposed to go.
We're often finding that the communities that really have it together, there's often a wait list. So
Yeah, they didn't have many openings there, and I really wanted kind of a specific thing. I'm on the second floor and I have a nice deck outside, and it's, you know, I've got 2 bathrooms, 2 bedrooms, full kitchen. I like the way their arrangement is with food, and just all of it's fit for me.
Mhm. Right. So interviewing different communities really give you an idea of what maybe you think you want now and what you might want even next. Some communities are just that 55 and older, and then some are 55 and older and maybe some assistance, some non-medical assistance, some help with those activities of daily living. And then there are others that have memory care units as well, and then some that have that long-term care, what we used to call nursing homes, but now they're skilled communities. And they aren't necessarily what our parents had. They've really made some great strides and some best practices in those communities. So it's good to think, for us to not only think now, but then, you know, long term as well. And so then, of course, yes, you have to talk to your financial advisor about what your options are. And now that we're thinking about those things, finding out what those costs are, what sort of programming is involved, you're more equipped to be able to talk to your your advisor about what those options are. Ms. Betsy.
And I feel something that when we experienced with my mother-in-law was that necessarily the family doesn't know the best way to do it. We have the best intentions because we loved her. But now that I've been in these seminars, I'm learning that there's so many options that we didn't even know that she had, that probably would have been better for her at a time. So talking to a financial advisor, maybe you think you have it figured out, but just having that conversation, what am I missing? I don't know what I don't know. So what am I missing? And I think this is one of the most valuable things of this seminar is there's a lot of information out there and programs and help and support that because we don't know, we never took advantage of.
Thank you for that. We learned a lot when Betsy brought her mother-in-law home. And we learned a lot about the family, and there were lots of discussions. And we are learning also what a gift it is to take care of some of these things before anything happens. My children have one in her 30s, and so there's been lots of conversations this year about what did she think that I would want versus what it is that I really want. They think they know.
I don't know about the rest of you, but I dread the idea of changing. I mean, I've got a good setup where I am right now. Nancy and I are married, but we don't live together. That's number one.
We live on the same street.
Right, we live on the same street. And I can manage around the house. If I can't manage it, I'll hire somebody to come in and fix it. I was just told today that for my age, I'm pretty healthy. It's nice for my age.
Yeah.
And I'm 78, you know, so I'm still working and I still have a hobby. I've got a big shop, big whole barn full of woodworking project, and I'm gonna die with a bunch of unfinished projects. Yeah, and they're, where we live, the houses are not right immediately next to us, but they're putting a development that I can see across my fence line from the easternmost edge of Wild Air development. It should be called Wild Hair in my opinion. That's about as close as I need people to be. And the idea of living in an assisted living place where somebody's right on the other side of the wall, I don't like it. I mean, I had a nursing home practice. I saw people on the skilled level and also assisted living. I dread it, really. I'm not gonna do it unless I have to. And that's the thing. And the people that I saw when I had my practice, they were there because they had to be there. They didn't plan, I think I said this before at meeting. They were admitted immersively. They had a stroke or they fell down, hurt themselves, and couldn't get it together to return home. And I don't wanna, you know, I plan well, I'm pretty fit, I work out all the time, and, you know, I'm gonna be there until I die, I hope. You know, that's my hope. So, you know, what you're talking about, I'm thinking, in my head, I'm going, oh, that's like a horrible idea. But, you know, it could be really nice for some people. Men have a harder time adjusting than women do this. It's a big deal for us.
It is, absolutely.
And I've seen it firsthand for a lot of times, and it would be hard for me.
Yeah, the research shows that men aren't typically going to move unless
Right.
there is a health issue, or they think that they're doing it as a favor to their wives. So, thank you for your honesty.
Gotta be honest.
Absolutely, absolutely.
The other thing is that if you have children, I don't have any children, and when I look back on it now, I see I could have used one or two now.
Maybe somebody would
Yeah, I'm like, yeah, I'll definitely give you my youngest. Yeah. There's some trade-offs there.
Yeah,
Thank
there's,
you.
I mean, at least I get
Yeah.
to make my own decisions,
Absolutely.
you know, up to a point, but I tell you, I just had, my annual wellness exam, I had a stress test, an echocardiogram, I too, you're very healthy, Nancy, don't worry about a thing. Well, a week later, I had a gigantic GI bleed that almost killed me. I was in the hospital 3 weeks ago. And that was totally unexpected and, you know, you don't know what's gonna happen, and that's part of the difficulty of this stuff is you're planning for stuff that you don't know is gonna happen. So you have to just act as if.
Yes, yeah, that's a great perspective. And so it would be so much better for us if we, I don't know about you, but I don't necessarily want to be told what to do. So if I can at least have a plan B. My plan A is to age in place as long as I want to, if that's the plan. But that plan B is, okay, something does happen. At least I've written down for family the places that I may have put a deposit in, a small deposit just to connect me to the wait list. So that at least if I'm going someplace that I've been able to choose.
My dad, knew he was gonna need a different place to live, and he he was living in Florida at the time, he put a large deposit down on a condo in a, over 55 option, assisted living, eventual option, memory care. And then he died before he got to move in. And it was, they didn't wanna give us the money back. I don't remember exactly what happened, you know,
Well, thank you for thinking that or saying that, because now we can ask about those deposits. Yeah.
I mean, you think you're gonna make it, but what if you die first? Yeah.
Great perspective. All right. Step 2 is to communicate your wishes to your family. What steps you've taken, so that they know, right? So that they know we have the holidays coming. So right around the corner, it's a great time to have that conversation. I can't stress enough that it's not a permission conversation. It's not, is it okay if I do this? Or get necessarily their buy-in. It's more, this is what I want to do. This is what I'm planning to do. Do you have any questions about it? And if they do, you can bring in your partners to answer their questions with a Zoom call. Maybe it's the community director that maybe they have questions about. You've been in, you've interviewed them, you've talked to them. That's where you would like to go. I don't know that the deposits are huge anymore in a community, but you want to ask for sure. I think just because I have girlfriends that I've tagged along at Hoosier Village, I think $500 gets you access to some of the campus activities. So I don't know how long that they're going to allow you to do some of my girlfriends in the Lions Club go there to swim, and that their connection was that $500. And I think that's something that Hoosier Village may have to, just to make that connection. Yeah.
They have about a 4-year wait.
They do. Now, the more flexible you are in what you want, the more likely you are at least to get in. Maybe you want that small independent house, but what they have is a townhome or an apartment. So it does depend. I've been surprised. I have some, Betsy and I also take referrals from other states, and we help them get in, and some of the referrals lately we had with his parents just got in quicker than they thought. So I think it was because, or I know it was because they were whatever's available. And then they, once in, they have an opportunity to be served first when they want to move. Okay, so step 2 was to communicate. Have a family meeting. Betsy and I have a guide that we give our clients when we sit down and do that first consultation that includes a letter. So it might, you don't have to use a letter, but it's helpful to have a resource. But your partner can also set up a Zoom call with the family. So have that conversation. If you want to know more about that guide, just see Betsy or I after the meeting. So you're communicating with your family about your move, as I already mentioned. You're just asking if they want more information, not to necessarily weigh in on that, unless you want them to. But there is a sample letter, as I mentioned, in our guide. There's a little sample letter there. The different communities, maybe you've seen several and you want to prioritize them. And then step 3, surround yourself with professionals. Now I may be biased, but I would suggest that you talk to your real estate agent first and find out who they use for I want to share with you a resource we have is Dave. Dave is the gentleman you can sit down and talk to and tell him what you're looking for in that next stage as far as a senior community and what your budget is and what kind of activities you like. And I had asked Jack when he came in how he found the Stratford, and he had done his own homework. But Dave is another resource that is on our team that he knows the ins and outs of the community, the management teams, the financial viability of the communities. And so he's someone that can help you, and Dave is paid by the community that you end up deciding. So Dave is a service that costs you nothing, and he will be compensated by the community that you decide on. And so that's what I mean when I'm talking about building your resources around you. So your realtor is often full of resources and might know who that senior packer is, the mover, the unpacker, because we want to make sure that when you do make that next move, it's an easier move, as this course is called, 5 easy steps to move. So get with your realtor and ask who they use to help with the packing, because you've already decided where you want to go. You have a timeline, maybe 3 years from now, and this is what you want to do. So you want to interview who's going to do that moving for you. And you want to find a mover that's going to help you pack, it's going to move you, and then help you unpack at your next location. Yes?
What's Dave's last name?
Dave Holder. Yeah. Yes, that's it.
One important thing to take in consideration is that there's a lot of companies who would do whatever we need to do. But there are very few who are specific for seniors. And why is it that you need to find a specific for seniors? Because it's another level of care and honoring your even your things, knowing that it's not gonna come somebody to grab everything and toss it in a box, but they know that they have to have the level of respect, of honoring that these are treasures for you, and that you want to be taken care of respectfully, and that he would have the patient, that they have the patient to walk with you and talk with you. Again, there's a lot of, easy, just call, 1-800 places that you can, for anything. But when they have the level of training and the level of certifications that are specific for senior, you're gonna have more time with them and you're gonna have more care from them.
That's a great point, Betsy, thank you. Now you know why she's my Betsy. It is, as Nancy has mentioned, she knows how to do these things. It's just a matter of, do we have the energy? Is that the best use of our time and energy? So Betsy's right, finding that, that level of service at a time when we could really use it. So thank you for that. Clients are always in control of this process, that's another thing. I want to make sure that in this process where we're trying to make things as easy as possible, the client is always the center of everything. And so it's, we are just the guide to help them follow through with what their decisions are. So making sure you have the support system that you have, and these are some of the specialists that we spend time vetting. Rock is here. Rock is one of my great friends. He has taught me a lot about the mortgage industry. He's taught me a lot about how to use a reverse mortgage to be able to accomplish some of the goals. And so if you have any questions about that, don't let it scare you. Just learn more about it. He's here. He's who you want to talk to if that is a resource for you. Step 4, our favorite thing. What to do with all of our things. This can be one of the areas that's most challenging because they're not just possessions. There are memories. There are our connections to the people that we may or may not still have in our lives. They are that. For me, it's a comfort, a safety. It drives me crazy when my kids borrow something and don't return it, or don't return it in the condition that they borrowed it in, because I might need it. And so this is a really challenging area, and it's also one that I highly value, someone that can really help my friends determine what they want to take to that next place. And again, because you've already chosen what that next step looks like. You've already let your family know what's happening. You've interviewed and chosen your partners. They're going to help you get through that. And now we're working with stuff. And I have a girlfriend who has helped other friends have a sticker system. So I wrote a note here. I didn't want to forget what Irma did. There are things to keep that you're going to take with you. And so maybe you put a green circle sticker on there. These are things that you can do little bits of time between now and 3 years from now, whenever that next move is happening. So keep things you're going to keep and you're going to move with you are green little stickers, and then things you want to donate with a blue sticker. Things that are sentimental and have a high family value. Maybe they're going to go to grandchildren or children, so those might have a yellow sticker. And then red stickers may be things you want to sell. So think about that as I don't know how your kids are going to feel about dots being all over your house at the holidays, but that's a way to start small and start with a cabinet, start with a drawer. We talked about junk drawers at the last meeting, so I know I have friends with junk drawers like I do. So when you're thinking about your things, I also want you to think about that mover again, that partner mover that's going to take those green items, the items that you're keeping and that you're taking to your next home, they are also the kind of partner that you want that's going to have a floor plan of the next home and know what furniture is gonna go so that you truly know what you're gonna take with you. And I have my friend Kim, may I use you as an example? She's like, what is she gonna say?
There's 3 of us here. So.
Kim Stritch. There are 3 Kims here. So Kim Stritch, you've had a sale.
An auction.
You've had an auction.
All my husband's stuff. No.
And have you had a garage sale yet?
No.
Well, what was the temperature of the sale that you had? What was the temperature outside of?
Oh, June.
What's June?
It was hot.
It was very hot.
My auctioneers were dear friend. I mean, it was her boyfriend, and he's an auctioneer from Rensselaer, in almost 80, and man, he works like a 30-year-old. And she's my widows group leader, and yeah, 110 days he was out there cleaning the garage of all my husband's woodworking stuff, cleaning the chicken coop, labeling, I mean, just doing it all. I mean, and there, I wouldn't even be a third of the way there.
So Kim would not let me move her first. She wasn't ready. So she's doing some things on her own between now and the time she decides that she's gonna let me sell her house. I want you to imagine another scenario. We'll call her E. E's husband was in a memory care unit in Westfield for a couple of years. I met her a couple of years before she was ready. She needed an evaluation on her home. She needed to know because her husband was going into memory care. They needed to separate some of their finance and legal, talk to an attorney about how all that works. So she called me for an evaluation, gave her an evaluation on the house. They were able to use that. She was able to put D in the memory care unit. A couple years go by, she's decided that he's safe and he's comfortable where he's at, and she wants to be closer to him because she goes every day and she's with him from 9, from breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And that's her community now. So we find her an apartment that's close, and that was my first experience learning that, well, her and Dee have been married, how long, Betsy, do you remember, like
43 years, yeah.
They've been married, and what do you mean you're not gonna live the same place where Dee is? And she explained to me that the cost of living at the same place where he was a certain amount of money, where the apartment nearby was only gonna be that $1,600. So that, okay, I understand, that's a big wake-up call for me. Spend your lifetime with a friend, you know, your husband, your spouse, and that can be a challenge. So anyway, we moved E into an apartment. She's got 3 sons that help us get there, and then what to do with the things that were left in the house. She decided to have an online auction. So we called in, our auctioneer came in, took pictures, grouped things together that you would not even imagine. She was like, I cannot believe that sold. She had an armadillo collection. Who collects armadillos in Indiana? She's like, once somebody gave me an armadillo, then everybody was giving me armadillos. Well, it just so happened that there was a person in another state that wanted her armadillos. So we sold everything, nearly everything in that house. The things that didn't sell, we put on our Facebook pages and gave away. The point was, she made some money that helped pay for the mover, and everything was out of the house. And I kept asking her, do you want to come back and see this stuff? And she had already was excited about the move and settled in and was moving about with Dee and his day, and really didn't. There was one item that a daughter-in-law found at the auction that she wanted and paid for it. She wouldn't have to. The auctioneer would have let her have it. but she was like, it's going to my mother-in-law anyway. So that was just a great way of clearing out this 4-bedroom house with a basement. And I didn't mention that Dee had a full-blown workshop in his basement. He had every tool imaginable. He was a woodworker. He made, she gave me a piece of his work. It was amazing. But, so I just want you to think about that. So as you're pruning through your things and you're labeling them, move, donate, give away, think about keeping that so we can have an auction that's advantageous for you. Okay? So don't give away too much, I guess is what I'm saying. Especially if you're Facebooking, giving everything away, one man's trash is another man's treasure.
I'm a retired reference librarian, and books aren't really as popular now as they used to be, but I have a lot of books, reference books, like whatever you wanna know, I can look it up in a book. So, and you don't get much, like half-price books or, you know.
So think about those online auctions. Another thing is our auctioneer, people were not traipsing through the house. That's another thing. It wasn't that kind of an estate sale. He came in, he took pictures of everything, it went online, it went everywhere. They came on a Saturday and picked everything up, but it was all handed to them through the door. So there wasn't anybody in the house afterwards. And so then we were then, because all the stuff was gone, we were able to clean it up and market the home. All right.
So they came to the house to pick
Picture
up
everything.
everything that was sold, and
Yeah.
we're not shipping everything all
There-
across the country.
Now that auctioneer could have had that. There are those opportunities. So you wouldn't interview your auctioneer, but he could have.
But what about
And
the
they may
armadillos?
have.
Did they ship the
Yeah, they
armadillos?
must have had.
Yeah.
They must have shipped them, but that wasn't our responsibility. That was the auctioneer's responsibility.
Okay.
Yeah.
My parents, they had an auction at the house where I grew up 10, 12 years ago, and nobody set foot inside the house. Everything was outside, everything was taken care of. They did a wonderful job.
It's good. Thank you for that. So think about that. It can be that easy. He was never there. She never had to deal with any of that. The daughter-in-law saw what was online, picked her item, went and picked it up with everybody else. So it was a neat process. And again, there were some half-empty chemical things under the sink, and they bundled them up and somebody bought them. So
You'd be amazed what they got.
literally, you just can take what
And
you
it depends on
want.
the auctioneer, because I had like 3 interviews with different auction people and stuff. One, I called it cherry pick. They came in, they were really nice, I thought I was gonna go with them, and they said, well, no, we'll only take the bedroom furniture from there, and then we're only gonna take this. I said, well, what about the stuff out there? Well, we'll take those bigger tools or something like that, but nope, not the rest. So I ended up not going with, even though that was the direction I thought I was going, based on everything else. So there's a lot of, again, interviewing, figuring out what truly they will
And
do.
again, your real estate agent, your partners are going to have had those experiences and know who to use and maybe who not to use. All right. What do you think number 5 is? We talked about the estate sale. Number 5 is really celebrating that next step. And I like to think of it as an opportunity to learn a new something. Wouldn't it be great for me if they had woodworking in that next community? But I'll probably choose a community that most of them have transportation, but Snyder, I don't have any lionesses. I have a future lioness maybe in here, but some of my girlfriends that come to the Lions Club, they're in different communities, like not Royal Run, Hoosier Village, and then one's at the Independent Village up by the Meyer, and they're driving still. So, yeah, I guess what I just look forward to is being able to pick up those hobbies or volunteer or whatever I want to do. Jack, may I ask what you're gonna do? Like, what's your favorite thing? What are you looking forward to?
I plan to sample a lot of different things and kind of figure out what
you like?
what I am interested in. I'm certainly gonna get into the physical part of it. I'm old enough that I need to exercise or things go away quickly. I'm 88 years old now. And so I'm have to take that into consideration, that's gotta be a part of it. But they have all kinds of things, just from people that get together to play euchre to whatever, you name it, and I'm gonna try a lot of stuff.
That's amazing.
And then I'll let you know what I'm.
Okay, I like
I
it.
see you doing line dancing.
I'm sorry.
Line
There
dancing.
you go.
That's what I wanna take up. I have a friend in my group that she's 75 and she goes twice a week line dancing.
It's amazing.
It's fun.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I apologize if I shared this at one of our meetings. So one of my clients, we helped move from Tipton to the Carmel area. So I talked to her after that, and she used the updated reverse mortgage for purchase. So I talked to her a couple weeks after, and I'm all excited because that's what I do, right? I wanted to hear her tell me all the great things about the program. Oh, no. She was telling me about how now that she lived closer to the church and the book club, how everyone was coming to her house. And now she was entertaining at her house. There wasn't anyone that was gonna drive in this kind of weather to go see her in Tipton. And so that's what was so excited, and you could just hear the joy in her voice. And then I had some other clients that moved into a nice facility in Westfield, Osborne Trails. I'm hearing stories about how the lifeguards don't know how to treat the older individuals that are our age, because they're bringing in glass containers that might have alcoholic beverages, and they don't know what to tell grandpa and grandma, maybe even great grandma and grandpa. They can't drink in there, and great grandma and grandpa, they don't care, they're drinking anyway. They're having fun, and what the most common theme that I hear is stress relief. They finally made that move, they finally made that decision, and it doesn't just come from my clients, I'll hear it from their parents, or from their kids. So they're not worried if there's stairs and they've fallen down again. One of my favorite clients, Jackie, she just was kind of gotten to that point where she was hunched over, and even during the processing of selling and buying the other one, she had fallen in the house. That didn't stop her from finding a man in the new edition. Yeah, and so you hear, they feel better, there's less stress, they've found out their kids didn't want all the stuff they thought they wanted. And they ended up being okay with that. The kids also don't want their house in many cases, not all the time. I actually have two in my pipeline that's the kids are buying their house so mom and dad can move to another house that better fits them. One of those clients are buying a little 2-bedroom, and I asked them about that, and they said they were strategic in buying a 2-bedroom. Right? Because they can only have so many people over, right? And so I thought, well, that's a different way to look at it. But stress and happiness, and then something that better fits them as they've gotten older. They still want the freedom that John wants. And so sometimes there is that extra step before you contact being older. It's just finding the right house.
Yeah. That's good. Thank you for that. So I want to leave some questions. I'll leave room for some questions, but attitude has a lot to do with how well it's going to go. And there's some pretty good attitudes in this room. So your level of optimism, the people that you surround yourself with, and the level of activity. And of course, we know the more active we are, the better. So downsizing made easy is first find out where you want to go, where you want to be, what kind of a lifestyle you want to lead, And then communicate that with your family, not asking for permission, but asking if they have any questions about it. The third step is dealing with, surround yourself with professionals. The fourth step is to let your professional work with all of your things. And then the fourth step is to celebrate, or the fifth step is to celebrate. And now I would like to open it up for you. What kind of questions do you have?
Do you have any suggestions for moving out of state? We're trying to figure out when that is, when it happens. How do we transport them back up here? You know what I mean?
Yes, so the
Some of
first thing I
items.
would wanna do is to find someone like me
Okay,
close to where they're at and connect you to that person.
got it,
Another expert,
got it.
yeah.
Okay, thank you,
And we'll have coffee and we'll
Yeah.
talk more about that.
thank you.
I have a question,
Yeah.
quick question.
Yeah.
So are they going to be buying here?
Oh, no,
Oh, okay.
no,
Alright.
they're not in great shape, and
Okay.
we've already been looking and doing the interviews, like you said, at different living facilities here. And I'm kinda picky about where they're gonna go.
As you should be.
And,
They should be.
and dad's got, vascular dementia, and mom just she has mobility issues with her MS. So, yeah,
Well, she's got some great resources as well, especially through, Wacoa, and there's some other connections that we've been able to get together. Some great resources, if you've not explored some of those, certainly should.
I'll take any of them, and he's a veteran, so, I've got connected with, it's not the VA, it's something else here locally that will also cover some of his expenses too.
And when we're done, I'll tell you about another event that's tomorrow night for
Okay.
Oh,
veterans.
good,
Yeah, thank you.
yeah. See,
So,
great.
I'm not worried about the financial aspect, my sister and I are, working on this together, it's they don't wanna give it up yet, and dad's worried about, cause they're active, dad walks every morning and drives still, but it's like when, and the place that they're looking at right now, the availability and the timing, and then I'm thinking, how are we gonna get them up here, and
How far is that?
they're down in Florida.
Yeah.
They actually did an estate sale like 10 or 12 years ago, and they basically bought everything new down there. And they've been down there ever since, but now it's time to bring them back up here.
Is
And
your
it's kinda
sister
like-
here?
Yeah,
Okay.
Who's the veteran?
my dad.
I'm a veteran and I work with veterans, that's what I do, and I know a lot about this thing that you're talking about. Contact the VA because they can tell you if he's like 80% or more disabled, he can get a bunch of free stuff like in-home care, and there are a bunch of nursing homes that he can go to for free
Oh, okay,
if
thank
you're
you.
over 80% disabled.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, contact the VA because they've really got some cool benefits for you.
Okay, thank you.
Questions about any details? Jeff, any questions? Mary?
Mine are mostly around that online auctioneer,
Yeah,
like where the resources are, or
yeah.
how do we find them, or interview them,
Yeah.
or.
Just give me a call and we'll talk some more about that.
Maybe Rod could answer this question. What are kind of the loose guidelines about if you were gonna use the equity in your home to go towards care or buying another, is there any like formula you'd wanna look at?
I heard two questions in that. One is, are you staying or going?
She's contemplating, she's checking out all her options.
Yeah, so in some cases, people will use, I call it the adult mortgage. It was funny you were talking about control. This particular mortgage gives you the option to treat it as you want to treat it. If you want it, you have access, if you're staying and you want to have access to your equity, great, we give you access to it. You want to take some out, you don't want to take it out right now, you want to take it out in streams. You're an adult, you get to control that.
What'd you call that?
I call it an adult, reverse mortgage, but the updated version, I call it an adult mortgage. I don't wanna be told how to spend my money, when to pay it back, and this gives you that option. what we are seeing is people who are aging in place are then taking it out to then pay for that care. One of my favorite clients has MS, wheelchair, and so then in that case, we helped her get rid of the mortgage payment, get rid of the car payment, and then take some additional funds out, and it was about a $1,500 swing in her cash flow to pay for nursing care to come into her home. And also part of that nursing care and home care wasn't just for the care that she needed, was put the dogs out. She took some of the initial distribution and paid for new carpet, because she couldn't always get the dogs out. And I was just thinking about her, this last weekend before, when we went to Los Gags, my better half and I, for our anniversary. This gal told me that her favorite thing to do is to go to concerts, because she always has the best seat in the house, because she's in a wheelchair. And so, and she's not afraid to ask men out. But oftentimes people will use the equity that they have in their home to pay for that care, if that was part of the question. And in other cases, most often what I see is they're using it to then buy a new place. So oftentimes, and many times, it is women, because they've outlived their partner, and so they found themselves house rich and cash poor. They're able to move to a home that better fits them, and they don't need all the money to buy that home and not have a mortgage payment. They end up with what I call residual cash. Well, that's a different situation for them, because now they can pay for the health care, they can pay for the trip, they can pay in some cases for lawn service, and so now they've created their own little community. They have no intentions of ever mowing their yard, buying a lawnmower or anything else, shoveling it. They've got enough cash left over from the house they sold to pay for those services. They've created their own little retirement community there. So I don't know if that answers your question, but there's a lot of different creative ways you can use it. Or one of the ways is if you are married and you're wishing to stay in the home and your partner needs to go into assisted living, is they're using the equity to pay for that care. And so since there's no required payment, and they're not burdened with having to move anywhere else, they still have to pay taxes and insurance, but they will pay for that care for that other individual until it's time for them to leave the home. Does that answer your questions?
No, it just confused me more, but that's okay.
And sometimes what's confusing about it is it can be so simple. Was there something specific?
No.
Sometimes, but to her point, sometimes I get asked, and I'll explain my program, and it's so simple. If you just think about your home as a bucket, and water is filled in that bucket, but think of that as equity, the new reverse mortgage is simply a spigot on that, and you get to turn that on and off. And so if you want to take out monthly distributions so that you can have a good time, take trips, healthcare, whatever, spoil your grandkids, then you just turn that on. If you want more, you've got only so much water in the bucket, and turn more. If you don't need it, turn it off. So you have options, and sometimes those options confuse people. Like, I understand you're gonna let me have my money when I want it, how I want it, and I get to pay you back some other time. Yeah, I don't understand. So I get that quite a bit.
I guess I'll have to talk to you sometime.
And if you want to then purchase a home, this is great. Here's a simple version of a reverse mortgage for purchase. You're gonna make a large down payment on a house. That large down payment is dependent on your age and, you know, what kind of the value of the house. You have a completely optional payment. We're a lender. We're gonna charge you interest until you pay me back at some point. You're gonna sell the house, you move out, whether it's because you died, assisted living, or you turn 150 years old. People think we're joking, but no, it's right there in the contract when you turn 150 years old. And so then you pay us back, and we just get paid back the interest and what we loaned you. We don't own the house, it's just a mortgage. It's just you're an adult, so I'm gonna let you decide when you pay me back and charge you interest until then.
What's the interest?
Actually, it's cheaper than a 30-year fixed rate mortgage right now.
Which is?
So you're talking somewhere around 6 1/4 on average right now. And so today, I got asked to step in because we were going to deny a loan, a loan officer on the more traditional side, and then someone said, oh, you gotta talk to Rock, because he would not qualify for the purchase of a new home based on his social security income and traditional guidelines. I said, send it over. I looked at it, like, oh no, not only can you qualify to buy this home, I can qualify for up to almost twice that, just because of the way we look at that. What he wants to do is he doesn't wanna use the equity from the house that he has now, he wants to give it to his kids, but he has some other funds. Like, oh, I wish I would've known that. Well, at least to Leanne's point, talk to the people on our list, find out what you can do. It may not, what I do may not be right for you, but you'd hate to find out later on that it was.
That's exactly right.
Like, oh man, I could have done this. I can't help you afterwards, but I can help you.
Is it
Or,
only
I
for,
don't like it.
is it only for, to buy, or do you do refis too?
96% of all of them are done as a refinance. I'm one of those gluttons for punishment. I focus on the purchase.
Okay.
Yeah. And so and what we're seeing are more builders that are geared towards this lifestyle. They're starting to build a little bit bigger hallways. They're starting to build, maybe there is no bathtub, it's just a shower. And now they have the paired patios. And they are building such that there's things you do in your community, right? It's a lifestyle. And so, and they're built with smaller yards, because the people moving in aren't taking care of it.
Right.
They don't want to. And so we have more and more builders that are doing it. You'd be surprised, you drive around, how much is done with cash, reverse mortgage, and then the traditional part of it.
Okay.
In some cases, it's a third of them are done with this type of lending.
Okay.
Do you have to, switch your mortgage? I would have to switch my mortgage lender, right?
Well, if you're refinancing, yes. And so then what you would do is you get rid of the mortgage payment that you have today. It becomes completely optional if you wanna continue to make a payment. Okay, make a payment. What's different about it in that case is when, on these loans, if you make a payment, it's gonna pay down your balance. It's gonna go on a line of credit. You decide later you want it back. On a traditional loan, if your payment is $1,500 a month, 30-year fixed rate mortgage, and you paid extra, and something happens, you lost a spouse, transmission goes out on your car, you just want your money back, and you call up, some lender and say, hey, I've been paying you extra, I didn't have to, can I have it back? No. It'll be nice, they probably will laugh at you when they hang up, but then the only way you're gonna get that is through refinance. With the reverse mortgage, the HECM, it's FHA's fancy term for it, if you want it back, we'll give it back to you anytime you want it.
What's the paperwork and stuff on stuff, is it like
So
terrible?
we just it's a traditional loan. It's pretty simple. What they do is they have counseling. They also, along the same lines as Leanne's trying to set up. FHA wants to make sure that you've talked about and thought about what you're thinking about. So they'll want you to do some counseling. Just say, hey, did you ask these questions? Did you ask it of Rock? Did you ask it of what any lender? Your kids can be on it. Your financial advisor can be on it. Who can't be on it is me, because they want to have that third party. But then you can talk about it. But we're seeing more and more people that, especially with the housing values that have gone up, they say, you know what, I'm not quite ready for this move yet. What will it look like if I just stay here and use that without having to touch anything else? Or you know what, it is time to move, and that's why I was asking you kind of what they're doing. There's people who have had a reverse mortgage. I had some people in California, or not people, in this case I'm thinking of a particular lady. She had a reverse mortgage in Florida. She wanted to be closer to her kids up here. She sold that home, came up and used a reverse mortgage to buy a new one in a brand new, it was a Ryan community.
Well, and that's the thing is, Dad really wants to keep it and give it to my sister and I, and we're just kinda like, we don't know if we wanna deal with that. And I don't know if the condo, cause it's a condo, I don't know if the condo community will allow us to rent it out, like,
Oh,
There's-
just say, yeah.
there's so many questions I have. So, anyway.
With the
Like
HECM
the
is,
furniture.
yeah, HECM is, FHA calls it home equity conversion mortgage, so if I say HECM, that's what it's talking about, I just called it an adult mortgage. So when it does come due, if you sell a home, anytime you sell a home, it has to be paid off, right? But if you have a reverse mortgage and the last person passes away, your kids then or your estate gets to decide, do I wanna keep it? Well, write a check, refinance it, do I wanna sell it? It's really kind of up to them. Just have to tell us what your intent is and work on that intent. You have up to 1 year. It's not our property. We just loaned you money. We just wanna get paid back. And if they're upside down, which it happens rarely, but examples I use are California when they had the fires, or maybe North Carolina and Florida when they had the hurricanes. If you're upside down, hand the keys back and walk away. You're not responsible for that debt. It's something else to talk about within this context.
It is.
We're seeing a lot of people that are moving multiple times in retirement. They have the big home they have their kids in. They either don't want them to come back or it's just too big. And so then now they found the other one. which is kind of in the area that they wanted to live in. And then they oftentimes have the third one where perhaps their body has just gotten to the point where now we need a little bit smaller. We do want that condo. So we're seeing people my age and older are moving multiple times in retirement.
Do you have to get an appraisal if you?
It's a standard FHA appraisal.
How many
Yeah. We, as much as possible, it tries to mirror what a traditional one would look like, but with some cool features.
I've been getting some stuff in the mail, a HELOC, what's a HELOC?
Home equity line of, or, home
They
equity
can-
line credit.
Yeah, our information is so public, they can tell that you've got a lot of equity in your home, and so
Yeah.
they're,
And also they're in your age,
Yeah,
they have some
oh
idea
yeah,
about the age.
and I probably get 5 offers a week to buy the house.
yes, yeah.
That's where you always, wanna go back. One of the first things I ever do when I'm talking to someone who is staying in a home is I ask them if they've got a realtor to then say, hey, do you know what your home is worth? I mean, I can get some idea online, but a realtor's gonna have much better data. And and I want them to always talk to them, have that conversation. And those pieces of mail oftentimes are just junk.
Yes. A friend of mine told me one time, you can't swing a dead cat without running into a realtor, so.
I like that.
Yeah. Just find someone who does it full-time, and not just 1 or 2 a year. If you would please, I hope I've given you something to think about, a strategy for downsizing, and, if you have more questions, we can meet one-on-one, just give me a call. And if you would, please fill out the survey so that we can see how this evening worked for you. If you have any questions, feel free to write them down as well. Thank you.
Thank you.